I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And we are the co-founders, co-executive directors of the Rich Project and the co-creators of TYRO.
You know, TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior.
Or a man worth following.
Woo! And we're going to talk to dads today about...
We're going to talk to dads today about getting your kids involved. See, Ron and I, through our own 15-year journey through incarceration and poverty and welfare, we learned a ton about building a strong, healthy, thriving family. Not perfect, but strong and healthy and permanent.
You know, I was really fortunate to be engaged in my two sons' life while I spent 15 years in prison. Cathy, like I said, I was really fortunate and blessed that Cathy was able to come and see me at least twice to 3 times a month for the entire 15 years. 15 years.
Holy smokes, that was a long time.
It was a long time.
but you were totally worth the effort.
Well, I appreciate that because I know I look like this. But today we want to talk about really having your children engaged in outside activities. When we say outside the family.
Right. And the importance of getting your kids involved and helping them determine how to get involved. As we talk about that, we're going to talk about what do we really mean by that, why is that important, and how do you do it? Because dads, your number one most important goal in life should be to raise your children into responsible, healthy adulthood and keeping your family intact in a healthy, permanent way.
You know, growing up for me in my house, growing up with my dad was always at home, but my dad didn't teach us. We would get involved in sports and other activities and do a lot of things with the family, but there was never a lesson or any type of morals or values added to the lesson of why we were doing what we're doing. So when we would have to go and literally go pick tomatoes, right? When we'd have to go pick tomatoes, and my dad would work at General Motors, he'd get laid off of work, and we'd go straight to the fields. But my dad never set us down to teach us job ethics, right? And what I should have got from that experience. Instead, I argued, I fought against it, I hated it, didn't want to do it. I never embraced that experience to help me in my adult life.
So when we think about getting your kids involved in extracurricular activities, we're not talking about picking tomatoes.
What?
We're not talking about picking tomatoes. We're talking about engaging them in team-focused activities, things that teach them about competition and things that really help them become successful. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about what do we really mean when we say getting your kids involved.
So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You'll begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we're talking about getting your kids involved.
You know, when I think about Blake and Brandon, our two sons, and we are really fortunate. Our two sons now work here at the Rich Project, and Blake is in fact behind the camera as he takes care of the media department.
Blake.
And Brandon, he's in what they call a product development specialist.
Which means he creates all kinds of digital content.
But they did not get to this place on their own, right? They were actually, while I was in prison and Cathy was raising them up, I was totally engaged in encouraging them to get involved in sports, getting involved in other extra activity outside the home.
So when we think, okay, get involved in extracurricular or outside activities, oftentimes that's the first place we think is sports, and sports are definitely one of them. Sports are a great teacher of life. You learn a lot about sportsmanship, you learn a lot about team, you learn about competition, you learn about hard work. But there are other things that they can also get involved in if your kids don't like sports, because we hear a lot, well, my child really isn't very athletic, but that's okay.
You know what I want to say is, I mean, what I really liked about when Blake and Brandon got involved in sports is the coach, right? Because this is a man or a woman, whatever the sport it was, that was actually helping shape their thinking and teaching them the importance of why you want to not only know how to catch the ball, but catch it with the right form. When you're a second baseman, know how to stop the ball.
Know how to depend and rely on other members of your team, so you don't have to think that it's just you alone against the rest of the world. That is a really important lesson, and teams really help kids figure that out. But we're also talking about, when we think about that, we're also talking about drama club. We're talking about getting involved in there's clubs now on computer coding, right? Instead of playing Minecraft, learn how to actually code a Minecraft game. There's photography, there are all kinds of clubs and activities, and I know that there are in the communities that your kids live in too.
You know, there was one thing that I was able to teach Blake and Brandon from a prison visiting room, dads. I taught my sons how to play chess. Now, I wasn't a very good chess player.
I thought you were going to say you taught your kids about music.
Well, I did that too, but the game I taught them was chess in prison, because I learned that in prison, and so I was able to teach them how to play prison, but also...
How to play prison?
How to play prison, yeah. I don't teach how to play prison. They live prison, right, with visiting me, but I taught them how to play chess, and really with the know-how, what it represents, right? Because, you know, there's a rule that when you play chess, if you touch it, you move it. Right, so I was able to help them think about life. Look, you want to think before you move in life. You know, make sure you understand if you move it, try to see 3 or 4 moves ahead in life, what the outcome by that decision you make, what it's going to look like. You think you're going to like it? Is it where you want to go? Is it where you want to be? Or do you want to go a different direction?
Right. So always thinking ahead. So when we think about getting connected to the outside, especially for young people, for boys and girls that have a parent that's in prison, it is so important for them to be connected to people, other leaders in their community. So it's really important that you stabilize your own family, but it's also equally important that you connect them to the outside. And so connecting them to anything, and it can be a church-related activity, it can be a YMCA, it can be a sport, it can be an art, it can be dance, it can be anything that connects them to a wider range of experiences where they're learning that they've got other people to depend upon, that they can become better, that it challenges them in the way that they think and the way that they're growing.
You know, one of the things that, as Cathy mentioned earlier, that I was able to impart into my sons was the gift of music. You know, they already love music, but I was able to be that encourager to help them find that instrument that they really loved playing and they wanted to become good at it. And Blake learned how to play the bass, right? Yep. That's right. And then Brandon actually went on to play the percussion, the drums, like me. Yep. And I tell you what, the ability to play the music
and
actually...
so they had a band, which was really awesome in addition to sports.
Which was really cool to see that they've taken it from just playing it in their living room to actually going on a stage, which was another level of engagement in their evolution as growing as men, becoming not always, you know, in the background, but putting themselves out there, learning how to do interviews, right? This was able to help them learn how to give speeches.
Learn how to market themselves, right? How to be out there. The same thing with sports. So we're going to talk in our next segment about why it's important. But right now, we really want to focus in on the what. What is it we're talking about? And that is building connections outside of just their immediate family that help them to become better. That help them to experience the world in a different way.
Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts,
that's
right.
a great place.
Boy Scouts.
Those are great places for
clubs.
The true leadership to be developed. When you're not there, Dad, right? These are places that will help.
Even when you are
kids,
there,
you know?
Even if you were home, it would be very important. It's still important to connect your kids to outside leaders.
You know, so we come back, we're going to talk about why this is so vital to the evolution and the growth of your children.
And how to do it in a healthy way. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO, and today we're talking about getting your kids involved.
Getting involved in what? In sports, in leadership, in Boy Scouts, in Girl Scouts.
In clubs.
In clubs. Something that's going to help really develop their skills at becoming a great leader. Not only a follower, but a great leader, right?
So when we think about great leaders, the skills that a great leader has, and remember those things are learned. They're not just born. So somebody can be born, they say, well, they're a born leader. But unless they're taught on how to lead, they're never going to be a great leader. And so our job is to help our children become great leaders by causing them to be exposed to a lot of different circumstances, situations, personalities, people, and opportunities to be challenged.
So why is this important? Because really what we're talking about is character. Come on, Dad, this is what we're talking about. How do you keep your children from going to prison? How do you keep them from ending up on the unemployment line? How do you keep them from ending up broke? How do you keep them out of debt? Because all these things we're talking about lead into a place of success to where they're not dependent upon somebody else to make it. They're not
interdependent.
Yeah, they're depending upon a team, right? Because there's no such thing as a self-made man, right? And there's no such thing as a truly natural born leader because you have to be taught these type of skills and abilities to lead others into success.
And as your kids begin to get connected to outside activities, then they're expanding the way that they think and they're expanding their network. When we look at all the research shows that when you have an expanded network, you are much more likely to become successful in life. When you have a very small network, when you only have 4 or 5 people that you feel like you can really count on, then your opportunities in your mind become much restricted on what you are able to accomplish.
You know,
this is really, really key.
This is important because when you're in a gang, now listen, dads, your children are out there and they may be joining some gangs out there. So what happens is they might think that they're in a family structure, but that gang mentality is really small. Their network is really small. They don't go outside that realm to seek other opportunities or
begin to think differently, experience different cultures, experience competition in a healthy way.
Right, because it's always included, or not included, it's always exclusive of just that realm where they're at. And the gang will actually stifle their growth. And that's something that you really need to think about when you're encouraging your children to think outside the box, right? Think outside the box because the gang is going to stifle their own dreaming capabilities, their own ability to grow and to adapt to a world that's always forever changing.
And so when your kids are involved in extracurricular activities, that's curricular activities that are not part of your house, not part of their normal school day, it causes them to learn to adapt to an ever-changing environment. And that means their team is constantly changing because from year to year the teams change. As 7th and 8th grade team, it forms this year, then the 8th graders go on to 9th grade and you've got the 7th graders, and that changes. The club is always getting new members, and every time you encounter somebody else, it causes you to think differently, right? And so that's why, Dad, it's really, really important that you are encouraging your kids to find things that they really like to do and get connected to a broader circle of people that enjoy that are good at that, and can help them become even better.
Another reason why it's really important to have this dialogue or to have this type of encouragement in your child's life, because it teaches also that failure must be an option. Right? Because you might not always make the varsity team. You might not make the JV team. Right. You may not cut the mustard, right? But that's okay. As long as you teach your kids to try their best, because as they learn and they say, you know what, I didn't make it this time, but they may have the determination, you know what, I'm going to try it again next year, and I'm going to prepare myself, right, to make it next time I try out, whatever that might be. They may not make it the first time, but if you can encourage them to say it's okay that you didn't get selected this time, because if you really want this, you can work harder so next time you can be picked.
That's why, dads, it is so important for you to be part of causing your children to get involved in outside activities, because then you're part of their life even though you're separated by time and space. Because when you're encouraging them to get involved in basketball or baseball or
cooking,
soccer, whatever it is,
yep.
then they know that you know who they are, you know what they like, and that you're taking a vested interest in who they are.
Because I'm telling you, your children, your son, your daughter, they want you, Dad. Mm-hmm. They need you, Dad. They want you to show interest in what's driving them. They want you to be engaged in their life. They may put their hands, they may fold it, you may see the body language, and they may seem to resist. And you're right, you know what? They're upset, they're hurt, but the more you love on them, the more you get engaged, and the more you encourage them to do things outside of the normal routine, right? That's healthy, right? The more that they too will start sharing with you about what it is that moves and drives them, and you can be part of their success.
And the more that they feel that you're actively involved in their life. So if you're encouraging them to get involved in whatever it is that their passion is, and you're encouraging them to find a club, find an opportunity, find a team, find something, then now you're building rapport with them and you are part of their growth and development, even though you are separated from them. This is so, so important, because as they look back on these years, they're going to remember, wow, my dad really encouraged me, and I'm so glad he did. Or you know what, I learned so much in the midst of that, and I wouldn't have even tried if it hadn't been for Dad.
That's right, because you know you're going to have a battle there, because the world is pulling them somewhere. There's somebody trying to get their attention, but you want to be that driving factor in their life where it's encouraging them to always look for the positive in something, to push them into doing the great things, not just to live a mundane life, but to be successful in what they're pursuing.
And with that, another reason of the why is that we all have to understand that we're all in a continuous improvement plan. And so if they say, well, yeah, I'm never going to make that team, you know what, they just don't know, they don't know how good I am, and they cut me from the team, then they have to understand that, you know what, we're in a continuous improvement plan. It's okay that you're not good enough, your skill level isn't good enough right now. You practice and make it good enough. But it doesn't mean that you as a person aren't good enough. It's skills that can be acquired. And this is a really valuable life lesson.
So stay tuned, and we're going to come right back with on how to engage your children.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about Mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm his wife, Cathy
TYRO.
That was really bad.
Okay, and so we're talking today about how to get your kids involved in activities outside of their normal routine.
Yeah, getting your kids involved is so important, and we talked about why it was so important. And now we want to talk about how. How do you actually move your kids from a place of being uninvolved and disengaged to a place of being involved and engaged?
You know, I think the first hurdle that families of this particular situation where dad's locked up, mom's taking care of the kids, we want you to overcome fear.
Right. Yes.
Right? How do you do it? How do you overcome the stigma? You want to go get your kids involved in the game, but the wife or the mother of your children, you know what? They don't want to go out there, Cass. They don't want to go put themselves out there and then not have any money or transportation.
Yeah, or even your kids that fear of rejection and failure. You know what? I already feel like the outcast because my dad's in prison. I already feel isolated and alone. If I try out and don't make the team, how much more rejected will I feel?
Or they might have a mind battle thinking they didn't pick me because my dad's in prison. Right.
And so that's why number one, how, is really important to early on get your kids involved in extracurricular activities. Whether that's t-ball, whether that's little league basketball, whether it's swimming, whether it's art, whether it's photography, whatever it is, early on there's 4-H, totally free programs for 4-H. Those are really phenomenal. They got all kinds of leaders. Find a 4-H program in your area.
Now listen, dads, you came to prison because these things that we're describing right now when you were a little boy, did you do them? Did you ever think of? Yeah, probably not. Did you sign up for 4-H? Did you do Cub Scouts, Weebelows, Boy Scouts? Probably not those things, but we want to encourage you to think of something different. Something you gotta, if you want a different outcome, then you gotta do something different.
So you have to help your children, number one, help them address their fears. So if they're really young children, get them involved in things right now so they can begin to build confidence and really also begin to know what it is they really want to do. Exposing them to a whole bunch of different things, whether it's music, whether it's literature, whether it's sports, whether it's cooking, whether it's whatever it is. Expose them to a whole bunch of things and they're going to decide what it is. They're going to find their gift, their talent, the thing they really want to pursue. Now, if your kids are already a little bit older and you're like, wow, they're just sitting around all day or they're hanging out on the street and I really want to get them involved, figure out what it is that they really like. Encourage them to begin to practice. Encourage them to find out when tryouts are for the team and to connect with a friend or connect with the coach and say, listen, coach, I really want to be part of this team, but I need to know what it's going to take.
Yep, and listen, dads, you might have to write that letter to the coach.
Right.
You might need to find out literally who the coach is when your son or daughter's going to that school, and take the time. And you got to be honest, you know, ask for help. How do you do this? You got to reach out and ask for help.
This is so important,
right? Because your son and daughter are already trying to come over the barriers in their own mind battles, but they need to know that you are in this with them, that you can go ahead of them and actually communicate effectively with the coach and asking them, please help me raise up my son and daughters to become strong people.
This is really important. Asking for help is really big. I remember Ron, when you were in prison and the boys wanted to play basketball and they wanted to play baseball. And my biggest fear was not that they would be rejected. My biggest fear was how in the world am I going to be able to afford the equipment that they're going to need to have in order to be on the team. And I remember you saying to me, you know what, just ask somebody for help. Ask this group of people or ask that group of people. Let the word out that you want them in there, but you need help buying cleats or baseball mitts. This is really important.
Or even transportation.
Yes.
To get to the practice. To get to the, you know, when the coaches are really great about this, but they don't know
unless you ask.
That there's a situation unless you ask. So dads, listen. This is where you got to take time and write that letter. Take the time to talk to the mother of the children. And you got to ask them, what can I do to help strengthen the bridge between the normal routine and getting your children to do something outside of the normal routine? You can be part of that building of that structure.
That's right. That is really, really powerful. Because when you take an active role from in here, from inside the walls, you're letting your children know that they are so important to you that you don't mind being uncomfortable for them, standing in the gap for them, creating a pathway for them. And so reaching out to family members, hey, can you help buy Johnny a baseball glove? Can you help buy him a basketball? Can you help provide gas cards so that mom can take him to practices? Or writing a letter to the coach, what's it going to take to get Johnny or Susie on the team? And they're going to need transportation because mom's working 2 jobs. This is important stuff.
And what else not only is important stuff, the people that you're going to be asking are going to be so glad that you're asking for something for them and not for yourself. Right? And that's what people really want to hear. Because they already know, we always ask for food box, clothes box, money on the books and all that. But can you imagine the outcome or the response of your family members? Well, he's not asking nothing for himself this month.
Right.
He's asking us to take what we normally would send him. In fact, that's another thing I'm going to challenge you, Dad. If you're getting $20, $30 from people at home, tell them, you know what, don't send me any money this month. Could you please do this?
Sign my son or daughter up for karate classes. Sign them up for art classes. Do something different. And if you can't afford those classes, go back to 4-H. Go to the county office, Tell whoever it is that's taking care of your children while you're away to go to the county extension office and find out where 4-H is. All of those things are offered for free in 4-H, and all of the area resident experts are helping kids learn to become experts in those fields in 4-H clubs. Now listen, we know what we're talking about because we lived it. We know what it takes. We know how uncomfortable it is, but we also know how important it is to get your kids involved in outside activities and to connect to resources to ask for the help you need to help your children become successful.
You know, parenting from behind bars is not easy, Dad, but it's crucial and it's needed. Your children need you, Dad, to be engaged. They need you to go outside your normacy and do something different. They're counting on you to be that voice for them in places that they may not have a voice, right? Growing up world and all that. People want to help your children become successful, right? They don't want to see your children grow up to come to prison. They don't want to see your children grow up to become a welfare recipient. Right. But they don't know how to help unless you ask.
And you are the expert as far as a father to your children. You are the one that knows your children the best. You are the one that is able to create opportunity for them better than anybody else. So when we come back, we're going to leave you with 3 tips, 3 tools that you can use right now to really help get your kids involved. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You'll begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And welcome back to more about getting your kids involved.
You know, this is a great subject, dads, that I think that really, it doesn't get talked about, especially among you guys as peers. When you're inside the day room, we're not talking about, did your son play baseball? I think that, I want to say sometimes the conversations in the day room is like an AA meeting or an NA meeting about the life we used to live and all the cars we used to have. But I want to encourage you to start challenging each other and start listening to each other, talk about our kids and what they're accomplishing, why you're in there, because you are engaged in their life.
And instead of feeling this threatening, instead of feeling jealous when somebody else shares something about their kids, celebrate that and learn from them.
Say it with me, baby. Celebrate, celebrate.
I was going to sing that song. Celebrate.
Good times, come on. Yeah, that's a good song right there. And that's what we're talking about.
Right, that's right.
So when your son gets an A in school, you share that, and as fathers, you should be surrounding each other, celebrating each other's children, because you know they are now on the road.
So when they get A's, you say, okay, have you thought about student council? Have you thought about something else? So we want to give you 3 tips, 3 tools that you can use right now where you are. So number 1, and we've talked about this the whole time, ask for help. If you need help, and it can be talk to another dad and you know kid is really involved in extracurricular activities, how did you get him involved? How did you get him motivated? How did you keep him that way? Or 2, ask for help from outside. So that's all number 1. Ask inside, ask outside.
You know, I want to share this. I want to give you guys a challenge real quick. When you're asking for help, if you can form a TYRO, if you're part of the TYRO alumni community inside dads, inside your prison, how can you take that TYRO alumni community and engage the community outside where everybody's children is at to activate them to become TYROs, TYRO fathers in your community, because they're going to be teaching the same principles you're learning how to become a father, how to become a man, that you're instilling into your sons or daughters, because one day they too will become parents. Right?
So number 2 is, if your kids are still young, start getting them involved in a variety of activities right now. Dancing, singing, music, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, everything you possibly can. Take advantage of every community resource there is so that your child has a variety of experiences to really understand who they are, what their talents are, and what their interests are. So that's number 2.
And number 3 is stay involved and encourage. Really become the CEO of your family. That means Chief Encouraging Officer. Because as you become that Chief Encouraging Officer in your family, the next level of CEO is Chief Empowering Officer.
That's right.
Because from going from encouragement to empowering your children to become those great leaders in their community. It's amazing watching our little girl as we empower and we encourage her to become the leader that she is becoming among her peers. And the influence that she carries among her peers is amazing.
Right. And that all happened because Dad would say when she sat on the bench the whole season, and Ron would tell her, do not give up. Keep practicing, because those that may have a lot of skill, they're not practicing. So practice and dedication is going to outpace skill with no discipline. Just give it time. And sure enough, here we are now. My daughter is starting pitcher, and she does an amazing job.
Because practice makes what, Tyros? Permanent. And that's what we get to teach as Tyros. That's what we want to instill in our children. That if you practice something negative in your life, it will become permanent in your life. But we want to teach them to become those leaders where they can ask the questions. They can celebrate their victories.
And leverage resources around them and know what it means to be interdependent and part of a team. And so we hope that the information we gave you today is going to help you in your journey towards becoming the best father you can and empowering and equipping your children to go on to responsible, healthy, permanent, happy adulthood.
You know, being a TYRO ain't easy, but it's well worth it because we're always on that continuous improvement plan. So dads, listen, thank you for letting us be part of your journey. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Until next time, always remember that we are rooting for you.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of integrity.
I am a man of faith. I am the antidote.
I am a man of discipline. I am a leader.
I am strong.
I am a man worth following.
I am a TYRO.